Are you tired of this happening while taming a Megalosaurus? My name's Tekorsa, and today I'll show you how to tame a Megalosaurus, and if you stick around I'll tell you a couple of neat things about tamed Megalosaurus. First off, let's prepare. The food you're going to need in order from most effective to least effective. Superior kibble, raw mutton, raw prime meat, raw prime fish meat, cooked lamb chop, cooked prime meat. I would recommend using superior kibble or raw prime meat. It wouldn't hurt to have some cooked prime meat, just in case. After the first 2 hours of the tame, you'll need around 75 narcotics per hour. For most people, this is probably irrelevant, and I'll explain why in a little bit. At the default taming rate, a level 30 can take between half an hour and an hour and a half, a level 60 between 1 and 2.5 hours, a level 120 can take between 1.5 and 4 hours, and a level 150 can take between 2 and 5 hours. These times are the difference between the kibble and raw meat. I need to note that these times are the raw amount of time spent waiting for food to drain, not considering any other factors, which I'll explain in a moment. The recipe for superior kibble is 1 large egg, 2 citronelle, 2 rare mushrooms, 1 prime meat jerky, 1 sap, 5 fiber, and 1 water. There are several hurdles when it comes to taming a Megalosaurus. The first is actually being able to find one. They mostly spawn in caves, and they're quite rare. And because of the buggy nature of creature spawns in caves, they may spawn outside of the cave walls, or have their spawn location clogged with other creatures who are outside of the cave walls. On certain maps, they can spawn on the surface, which eliminates the next difficulty. They may not be able to leave the cave they are in, which can be circumvented with cryopods. The final obstacle to taming is their sleep and wake cycle. Unless you're taming an aberrant on aberration, they will wake up, regardless of their torpor level, at 2025 and will fall back asleep the next morning at 5:15. Since it's constantly twilight in the aberration caves, aberrant Megalosaurus do not have this sleep and wake cycle. So what does that mean for taming? You get, at most, 15 hours and 10 minutes of in-game time of taming before you have to knock the Megalosaurus out again. With the default day-night cycle, this means you get a max of 40 minutes of real time to tame a Megalosaurus before it wakes up again. When it wakes up, it will purge its inventory and you will lose anything that is inside, and its torpidity will reset, negating the need for narcotics. However, you do get to keep your taming progress. Just make sure to clear its inventory before this happens. Before I get too far into this, I do need to mention that starve taming is the preferred method for Megalosaurus because of their sleep-wake cycle. So what starve taming means is waiting until the creature's food meter drops a certain amount before putting food in its inventory to avoid food wastage in case of a creature being hit or killed while it's being tamed. With a Megalosaurus, you do need to keep in mind that the food meter only drops while it is unconscious. With all of that out of the way, the easiest way to tame a Megalosaurus is to find it and wait just before dawn to start pegging it with tranq ammo, and wait for it to collapse on its own. You can keep shooting it to help it fall unconscious faster, but you don't have to. If you're on a default taming rate server, any Megalosaurus below level 30 has a taming time below 30 minutes, and you should be able to just throw food on it and tame it easily this way. However, as I said earlier, you will need to watch the time so you can take your taming food out before it wakes up at dusk, so you will not lose it. So at this point you have a couple of options. The first being to wait for the next dawn and repeat the last step until you have it tamed. If you don't want to wait it out, you'll have to knock it out. The best method for doing this is trank darts because of their low health damage and high torpor damage. Keep in mind that they will acquire quite a few darts before they get knocked out again, and they move and attack much faster during the night time, meaning you'll want a very tanking mount you can shoot from the back of, such as a Daeodon, Dire Bear, or Sabertooth. At this point, they will not wake up again until the next night at dusk. If the one you're taming is above level 120, you'll probably need to repeat this process again at that time. So let's talk more specifically about how to knock it out. While it's still asleep, you can spam a few large bear traps around it so you can try to get enough shots off while it's trapped. A level 150 needs 35 trank darts from a 100% damage long neck rifle, so you want to make sure you bring your highest damaged rifle to the tame. If you're unable to build inside of caves, all I can recommend is try to run away from it and shoot as much as you can while making your way back to the entrance of the cave. If you found or lured a Megalosaurus outside of a cave where you can build, you can make a trap for them. The easiest trap is using metal billboards in a square shape with the side missing and a large bear trap in the middle. Lure the Megalosaurus into the square and place the last billboard into place. Shoot it freely with your trank ammo. Alternatively, you could make a birdcage trap out of a line of stone dinosaur gateways with the doors on either side and a large bear trap in the middle. Lure the Megalosaurus in and shut the gates. You could also use a 2x2 stone box with a ramp up one side. If it's already sleeping, you could just build your trap of choice around it. Best of luck to you if you try this method. Regardless of how you knock it out, put your food of choice in its inventory and make sure you keep an eye on the time until it's tamed. If this video is helpful, make sure you like and share it. Your support really helps out the channel. Now for the neat facts that I promised earlier. The Megalosaurus saddle can be learned at level 57 and can be crafted in a smithy with hide, fiber, and metal ingots. Their primary attack is a bite attack. Their secondary attack is a grab and carry, which changes the primary attack into a violent shake. This is not an effective means of dealing damage as it does not scale with the melee damage stat. To expand on this, the default move for the Megalosaurus AI is to grab and shake, so if you want to use it as an attacker, it's best to attack while riding it. They can carry creatures up to a drag weight of 150 with a couple of exceptions. For a general rule, if it weighs less than an Equus, the Megalosaurus can pick it up. The grab also deals a small amount of damage which will cause otherwise passive creatures to attack. Keep this in mind if you do try to carry something away. The crouch command is a menacing roar. During the daytime, between 5:15 and 20:25, the attacks cost more stamina and have a slower attack speed, and the Megalosaurus will also have a slower move speed. Also during this time, a Megalosaurus gains a sleep deprivation meter, which, once filled, will cause the Megalosaurus to gain torpor rapidly until it's unconscious. In the radial menu, you can choose the Megalosaurus's behavior for being asleep and awake. There's an aberrant form of the Megalosaurus which first appeared on the Aberration map. Since the Aberration map is in constant twilight, they have none of the daytime debuffs and are always at full power. That is a property of the Aberration map. If you transfer an aberrant Megalosaurus to a different map, it no longer has this advantage. If you transfer a regular Megalosaurus into the Aberration map, it doesn't gain this advantage. The Megalosaurus egg can be used in superior kibble along with 2 citronelle, 2 rare mushrooms, 1 prime meat jerky, 1 sap, 5 fiber, and 1 water. That's all I've got for today. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and have yourselves a very good day.